So welcome back to the third part of this video that we are picking 21st century's greatest test 11s, and only three teams are remaining now. Three of the most important teams of the 21st century: Australia, England and India. We've picked these many teams so far. You can have a look. I'll just give you a little recap that how we picked all of those teams. So with Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, we preferred taking more wicket keeper batsmen because we thought the specialist batsmen were not good enough to be in this team. So we took Tatenda Taibu as a proper wicket keeper, who is a greater cricketer than other players who are pure batsmen, were not part of this team. And Andifla Mushfiqur Rahim came in as a pure batsman. With West Indies, we dropped the idea of playing another pace bowler and we instead played another batsman, opener Craig Brathwaite, and we have Chris Gale as the fifth bowler. For Sri Lanka, we dropped a lot of aggressive openers who were not that consistent enough, like Jayasuriya and Dilshan, and then we also dropped Hashanti Lakratne, and we preferred taking a genuine wicket keeper so that Sangakkara can bat freely and can become the best batsman in the world in the 21st century. That's what his numbers suggest. He scored more than 9,000 runs at a batting average of 67 as a pure batsman. With South Africa, it was a very strong team. It was the problem was between bowlers to choose. There was Mackay and Tini, there was one on Philander, and there was Morne Morkel who missed out, who could have made in of if we have one of them could have made it if we have decided to drop a spin bowler, because South Africa hasn't really been a spin friendly team. So, but we have preferred taking Keshav Maharaj because we need one genuine spinner in all teams. With Pakistan, it was a difficult team to put out because unfortunately this hasn't been their best period, the whole 21st century, after the retirement of Waqar Younis, Wasim Akram, and the batting order Saeed Anwar, someone like that. They haven't found a real good opening batsman since then, so we dropped the idea of an opening batsman and we have made two one-down players open the innings. Azhar Ali has opened for Pakistan quite a few times. He scored more than 1,000 test runs as an opener. And we also preferred taking Abdul Razak in the team to be the third seam option, because there is no third seam option. There is no all-rounder option for Pakistan, anyone as close. Abdul Razak quite ordinary compared to what his capabilities are in ODI cricket, but still we know he's capable enough. He didn't exceed at Test cricket to an extent at which he exceeded in ODI cricket. With New Zealand, it was an easy choice. All four fast bowlers, Tim Southee, Trent Boult, Shane Warne, Neil Wagner, all of them walked in with ease without any competition from any other bowlers. But the idea is that we could have dropped one bowler and we could have had Chris Gaines or Jacob Oram, the all-rounder, would be preferred because these four bowlers are just outstanding and they probably make the finest swing and seam bowling attack in the 21st century, in my opinion. So now we are going to pick the next three teams, and we're also going to pitch these teams each other, and we'll see which will be the strongest team, and we will rank these teams in terms of their strength, in terms of overall strength, not just one particular aspect, overall strength, which will be the first team, second team, third team, that way. So now we're going to pick the Indian team first. Well, I could pick this team purely just based on reputation, and we know because not just reputation, because we do I already know, and everyone know the stats of our Indian batters and bowlers, but we're still gonna check out the stats of how they have fared, especially players like Sachin and Dravid, because they're half of their careers. Sachin's career is in 21st century. His first half was in the 20th century. Also, same goes for someone like Anil Kumble. So we're gonna go for the advanced filter. I'm gonna check the team. It's India, and the time is 21st century. Yeah, we go. So here's our highest run scorers in the 21st century. Obvious names there: Dravid and Tendulkar, both up the order. You can see there, for people who always keep saying who is a greater batsman, Dravid or Tendulkar, I think both are equally great. There is no difference here. But the only thing is that probably both are slightly different kind of players. And Dravid's job was always to protect Tendulkar's wicket, because he batted up the order than Tendulkar, and he always had more responsibility than Tendulkar, is what I believe. But Tendulkar, I think, was also one of the most aggressive number fours ever in Test match cricket, and not aggressive in a very non-risky way. He didn't really go berserk or something like that, playing over the top shots. But he was aggressive in the right way, in a textbook way. He played all the shots in the rightful way, and he had the best skill of Sachin Tendulkar. We all know his adaptability and his capability to score everywhere around the world, and that goes for Dravid as well. He was also capable enough to score everywhere around the world. So both of them in Test match cricket, I think there is not a lot between them. Dravid and Tendulkar is just about preference and what you're looking for. If you're needing an aggressive batsman in the middle order, you might choose Tendulkar. If you needed an anchor batsman who can bat with the rest of the team, you would go for Dravid. But both, they're very identical numbers, though. You see, Dravid has played more innings, but he also has more not out, so that improves his batting average slightly than Sachin. Sachin has played lesser innings, but he hasn't scored much less runs than Dravid. Just around 400 run less than Dravid. Again, the number of centuries is very similar. He's just 1 century less for Sachin than Dravid, and 2 half centuries less. His strike rate is slightly better than Dravid. Not slightly, I would say that's fair enoughly better. But fairly better. But yes, even Dravid, there is a reason for that strike rate of Rahul Dravid being 43, and the reason was he was the cement that glued together. But the difference between someone like Rahul Dravid and Cheteshwar Pujara, in my opinion, is that when Rahul Dravid gets set, we see him become aggressive. If he scored 100 or a 50 even, we see him change. We see him not missing out on any loose deliveries. Whereas you don't see that with Pujara in the recent past. You don't see that with Pujara. Pujara initially used to do that similarly, especially playing in India. He still does that. But recently, I think he's been a little too one-dimensional as a batsman, Cheteshwar Pujara, and his run scoring and even his running between the wickets is a big issue. He keeps missing out on easy runs, and that really would cost India someday. And I feel that the reason why the current Test team, we don't understand what's wrong with Cheteshwar Pujara. Instead, we are glorifying the idea that Pujara occupies a lot of time and plays a lot of deliveries but doesn't score much. He averaged around 29 in Australia, and we are still calling him a match-winning batsman in Australia, or match-saving, whatever. But whatever it is, I think it would cost if he doesn't score runs. All of that is wonderful when he starts off his innings, but once he's scored a 50 or 60, he should be looking to not miss out opportunities to score runs, which is how Dravid batted, and that is how he scored that many runs. And that is the difference between Dravid and Pujara, that his batting average is different because of that fact. That is why Dravid could make big scores, because he did change his mentality. He became aggressive once he's got his eye in. So we're going to prefer, we could select 5 batters or 6 batters. But if we select 6 batters, we need one of those to be a 5th bowling option, and a good enough 5th bowling option. So do we have someone who can be a good enough or a decent enough, at least a decent enough spin bowling option? Or should we prefer just pure batsmen and just forget about bowling? Because whichever way, we need a solid team. We need a better version of the team. So I will consider both the possibilities of taking 6 batsmen and 5 batsmen. But who is the 6th batsman is also important. That decision is also important. I'm not going to take Pujara and Dravid both. I think if I have Dravid, I don't need Pujara in this team. But apart from these guys, is there anyone else who can walk into this great 11? So let's see that. So Dravid is a easy walk-in. Tendulkar is a great easy walk-in. Sehwag is a easy walk-in. VVS Lakshman is also a easy walk-in. VVS Lakshman's overall Test average is around 45. But in the 21st century, when he started making those big runs and his 281 happened against Australia, that is when he really improved as a batsman. His batting average is 49 and is right up there with everyone else. In this earlier career, I think he played a few Test matches. I guess he must have played 10-12 Test matches at max, or maybe 15 Test matches before that period, and he wasn't really there. And he was also playing as an opening batsman in that time. And he wasn't comfortable as an opening batsman. He never wanted to play as an opening batsman, VVS Lakshman, but that's how he got his first opportunity. And that's why those numbers are different, and that's why his overall batting average comes a little down. But this is where we know that Lakshman is as important to us as any other great batsman. So we have all these 4 people here, and the 5th person is obviously Virat Kohli, great run scorer as well, a very good strike rate, a lot of centuries in fewer Test matches. 27 centuries already for him. He's already matched Tendulkar's 27th century in this in the 21st century. Tendulkar took 121 matches, Kohli took 91. So that comparison is always going to happen, Tendulkar and Kohli. So I would say these are my five batsmen. And now the sixth option is Cheteshwar Pujara, which I told you I'm not considering Cheteshwar Pujara. Another option is Ajinkya Rahane. Also, I don't think so. I think Ajinkya Rahane is that strong enough to come into this team. Saurav Ganguly could be considered, and the reason for that is because he is a sixth bowling option or fifth bowling option. He can be an extra seam bowling option. Though we selected Angelo Matthews for Sri Lanka in similar way, a batsman who can bat at six and can be the third seamer. But the difference is between Ganguly and Angelo Matthews. We know that Angelo Matthews was a much better bowler. He was an actual bowler who just didn't bowl enough. Whenever he bowled, we saw him bowl and we knew that he is not a part-time medium-pace bowler. He's an actual swing bowler, medium-fast bowler. He's not the right-arm wobbler, dibbly, whatever you call that. So, but Ganguly is that kind of a bowler. He's a dibbly, wobbly bowler, but he was successful in this dibbly bowling. That is the difference. He was in fact more successful than Angelo Matthews. But again, we are not going to consider that fact for now, at least. But we are keeping Ganguly aside because he's a fifth bowling option, and he can be considered. And he was a great captain in Test match cricket. If Ganguly plays in this team, he will be my captain. But if he doesn't, then someone else will be my captain. So I'm considering Ganguly, but he might not be playing. The wicketkeeper batsman again is going to be. I would say it's a difficult choice as of now, because what we have seen Rishabh Pant do in recent times is just incredible, and he's getting better as a wicketkeeper. MS Dhoni is good. MS Dhoni, for a wicketkeeper batsman, those numbers with the bat are excellent. I mean, that's not a problem. And saying that Dhoni never really did well in Test matches and he was great, no, that I think is not important. Batting average of 38 is fine, and he wasn't really expected to be a great batsman in Test match cricket. Though I think he could have been better because we saw his capabilities in ODI cricket. We know he could have averaged in the mid-40s at least in Test matches, but he didn't. That's fine. He didn't score much in foreign conditions, Dhoni. But that doesn't take away his spot in the wicketkeepership. The only thing is that do we think Rishabh Pant is great enough than MS Dhoni right now? From whatever few matches that we have seen of Rishabh Pant, we have only seen him play in 20 matches, and it's a very difficult choice to decide from his 20 matches. We clearly know he's proven to be a better batsman as of now. As of now, he's a better batsman, and he plays aggressively and plays with ease, and he wins your matches. And that is what my point is. I'm only considering the fact. I'm not considering the fact whether he's overall a better batsman than Dhoni or not. And it's unfair to compare that as well, because Dhoni played a lot of matches, and 38 is a very good batting average for a wicketkeeper batsman. And Rishabh Pant has played only 20 Test matches. He scored around 1,300 runs, 358 runs, 159 is high score, 300, 650s. But the difference between Kohli and Rishabh Pant as a player, as a wicketkeeper batsman as well, and coming in down the order in Test match cricket, is Rishabh Pant just is amazingly. He just doesn't give up. We've seen that a couple of times now, and that I think is a very incredibly rare thing. It's like players like Ben Stokes and Rishabh Pant. These are special players. These are just special players. They just don't give up. In any situation, they just don't give up. And in Test match cricket, maybe Dhoni is someone who gives up. We've realized that a few times. Even as a captain and even as a player, at times he does give up. So that to me is the differentiation factor here between Dhoni and Rishabh Pant. And I'm still not very sure. I let me just select the bowlers first, and then we'll see whether it will be Dhoni or whether it will be Rishabh Pant. It also depends on the fact that whether we are taking Ganguly or not. If we are taking Ganguly, then probably I will go for Dhoni, because then the batting won't be considered that much, and Dhoni at number 7 is just good enough then. But if we are not taking Ganguly, then at number 6, who is a better number 6? Can Dhoni be seen as a number 6 batsman in this Indian batting order, which is very reliant on top 6? We've always been focused that our top 6 are batters. We have a wicketkeeper, and then we have 4 bowlers, out of which 2 or 3 are spinners. 2 are spinners mostly. So that's how our process has been. But if we want to play an all-rounder, then instead of Ganguly, then we can have Rishabh Pant as a proper batsman. at number 6 and a wicket keeper along with that, instead of having Dhoni at number 6. So it depends on which position we are considering for. If we are considering at number 6, again I'm saying that I will go for Rishabh Pant, and if we are going for number 7, I will go for MS Dhoni. So that's how it is. So it depends on how good our bowlers really have been in this period, of whether we have 4 or 5 bowlers to come in this team. So here we go, our bowlers. We'll just see the pure bowling stats first, and then we'll consider the all-rounder skills, because the bowling strike rate will also be important. So here we go. R Ashwin is our default first spinner. Forget that he bats. Forget that he knows to bat. He still is our default spinner. Great spinner. First spinner. 52. That strike rate is just what defines R Ashwin, and also those number of 5 wicket hauls. But that strike rate is what defines R Ashwin to me, because Shane Warne doesn't have a good enough strike rate than him. And I believe even Muralidharan doesn't have a better strike rate. Let's just check that out. Let's just check what Muralidharan has as a strike rate, because I don't remember right now his strike rate. And that is just exceptional. I feel that if he's better than Muralidharan, that would just be incredible. You see, 800 wickets, obviously that is a difference. He does have a better strike rate than Muralidharan. Ashwin has a better strike rate than Muralidharan. I never knew that. Maybe in the 21st century in particular, in the entire careers of Ashwin and Muralidharan, Ashwin has a better strike rate. That is incredible. Maybe considering only the 21st century, Murali would have a better strike rate. Because after inventing the Doosra, the consistency of Murali's wicket taking became just much multiplied in many ways. Then Ashwin can't be better than him. But overall in their careers, Ashwin is a more consistent wicket taker. It means that Ashwin doesn't require that many balls as Murali. Murali requires 55 balls to take 1 wicket. Ashwin requires 52.3 something. And that is just incredible. And that says how great Ashwin is. And all that debate that currently it's been going on, and Sanjay Mansarekar as usual has been speaking about it, where Ashwin, he doesn't think he's an all-time great. I think if this isn't all-time great, I don't know what the hell this is. You forget the fact that he hasn't taken a 5-wicket haul in Sena countries. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can take these many wickets in your home country itself, because let's say first-class cricketers, we consider first-class cricket. It's not like playing in the home conditions is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. It's not. The only argument that I've realized that can be considered is that Ashwin and Jadeja both have been taking wickets at a great number. And the last few years, people say Jadeja has been a better wicket taker than Ashwin. Or they even mentioned the fact that Akshar Patel recently was the most important spinner for India in the England series. So does that mean anyone can be as good as Ashwin? That's the point he's trying to make. But I don't believe that, because there is a difference between doing that for a longer period and just doing it for a while. Akshar Patel, how good really he is going to be, that will be tested. I don't believe he's going to be as good as Ashwin or Jadeja in the coming days, in the coming years. We'll see that, how good Akshar Patel really is. And the reason why I feel Ashwin and Jadeja both have been good, and that's why they both have been successful. And they empower each other. That's also another reason why, because Ashwin without Jadeja, Jadeja without Ashwin is less effective. In test matches or even in other forms of game, any spin bowler requires a pair, especially so that is what I feel is a point that should be considered in Sena countries, because whenever India has played in Sena countries, either Ashwin or Jadeja has played. Both of them have never played together. They've rarely played. I would say they haven't played at all. I think they always took either Jadeja or Ashwin as the lone spinner. Whereas I always believe that Jadeja should have always been considered as a batting all-rounder, and his bowling should always be looked as a help to Ashwin, and he should be considered as a proper batsman. I'm not saying that by default selects him for this 11, but in general in the Indian team right now, where you don't have other players to compete in that spot, other batsmen to compete in that, other great enough batsmen to compete in that spot. So some if the other options that you have as a number 6 batsman, Hanuma Vihari or someone like that, I don't think Jadeja is anywhere in competition with those guys. I think he's much better for what he brings to the table. So I even in the WTC final, I would be really disappointed if India doesn't play Jadeja. I can consider that if India doesn't play Ashwin, I can understand that maybe. But if India doesn't play Jadeja, it would just be incredibly silly to do, because what he brings to the table overall is just magnificent. Even if it doesn't bowl much, he's still he's a huge asset to the team, and which Hanuma Vihari I don't think can be in a situation where you require a match-winning performance in a session or two. That is when Jadeja will matter, and Hanuma Vihari can save you a test match. He cannot win you a test match, and the WTC final is all about winning. So that says a few things, but again, that was Jadeja's competition with Hanuma Vihari. But can Jadeja's competition with with Saurav Ganguly, who's also we have been considering as the sixth batsman, is good enough? Can Jadeja beat Saurav Ganguly, or can Ganguly beat Jadeja? So for that we have to see Ganguly's bowling numbers now in the 21st century, and I don't think they're that good. They are absolutely disgusting. I think he bowled a little in 2000 and 1999 maybe. 75 matches, 12 wickets, and he's bowled a lot. He's bowled in 57 innings out of 75 test matches. 57 innings is bowled. So his strike rate suggests that he has bowled a lot of overs. 150 is his strike rate. That is his bowling average is 80, but he never got more than 2 wickets, 2 for 22. So it's you cannot consider Ganguly as the third seamer. It's impossible. Let's see what Tendulkar can be. Tendulkar's numbers are also very bad in the 21st century. With the ball, 3 for 31 is his best. His strike rate is huge, which also suggests that he has bowled a lot. But to their credit, to someone like Tendulkar or Ganguly, but especially Tendulkar because he bowled spin, or someone like Sehwag, let's see what Sehwag's numbers are. They are slightly better than Sachin's. He's got a 5-wicket haul, but his strike rate is also bad. So my point is, the reason why Sehwag and Sachin's this doesn't really represent their capability as a bowler. Whereas in ODI, if you see their numbers as bowlers, they are much better than this. And the reason for that is that in test matches you require time. Any spin bowler requires time. So if you're giving them one spell, or you're making them bowl 5-6 overs and you're taking them out, it doesn't make any difference. And when you use them for 5-6 overs in, let's say, 10 test matches, so the only purpose that part-time spinners do in test matches is give some breathing time to other spin bowlers or other pace bowlers. That's the only reason they are really used. So once in a while they might get a wicket. But if you really want them to bowl as a proper bowling option, which is what I'm expecting from a fifth bowler here, as a proper bowling option, who should bowl 10 to 12 overs in a day, which means if you're playing for 2 days, you should expect 15 to 20 overs from the bowler. Then you can expect them to take wickets. And then their bowling strike rate and average and all those things will work themselves out, and they will get better. So probably India never used Sehwag and Sachin in that sense in test matches in the 21st century. So I don't think that they can be used, which also means that either we're going to play 4 bowlers, but I've told you before, I'm not going to play 2 seamers and 2 spinners. If I'm playing 4 bowlers, it means I have to play 3 seamers and 1 spinner. Now with such a difficult lineup to select from and so many options in spin bowling, I cannot take just 1 spin from India, which in turn means I have to take 5 bowlers, which also means I have to take 3 seamers and 2 spinners. So that's how it becomes. Which means now Ashwin and Jadeja both can be considered if we are taking 2 players, because we 2 bowlers, and Ganguly also dismisses himself off, which in turn also means that Rishabh Pant now is most likely to be selected as a wicket-keeper batsman, and MS Dhoni is gonna be dropped. So now Ashwin and Jadeja, and Anil Kumble and Jadeja. Let's compete Anil Kumble's bowling here. Anil Kumble has taken 343 wickets at a very good bowling average, 30. Let's see what Anil Kumble's wickets to inning ratio is. Is it better than Jadeja? because Jadeja's bowling average is clearly much better. His strike rate is also better than Kumble. It's 59.7 for Jadeja. It's 63.3 for Kumble. And he's also taken a lot of wickets. It's not like his wicket tally is less. It's 220 wickets. That's a lot of wickets for Jadeja. A lot of 5-wicket hauls as well. So let's put that together. Forget the fact that Jadeja is also a batsman. Let's just consider this, that because let's also consider that maybe Ashwin can also be considered as a number 7 batsman. It might not make our batting that strong, but we know that Ashwin is a capable number 7. He can work as a number 7. So what I'm gonna check right now is Jadeja's wickets to inning ratio and Kumble's wickets to inning ratio, and which one is better. So 343 in 129. We're gonna calculate this. 343 in 129 innings. 2.65 is Anil Kumble's wicket to inning ratio. Okay, and that is very good, in fact, compared to other bowlers. And now Jadeja's wicket to inning ratio, 220 in 97. Okay, so Jadeja's wicket to inning ratio is nowhere close to this is a huge difference. If you don't understand this difference, I'll tell you. Mostly the wickets to inning ratio of, let's say, any good fast bowler will be around 2.3, 2.4, and mostly for a spin bowler, a good enough wicket to inning ratio is considered to be more than 2.5. It should be minimum be 2.5, and Jadeja's wicket to inning ratio is less. It's 2.26, whereas Kumble's wicket to inning ratio is 2.65, which is much higher than what the normal is. The normal is 2.5. Shane Warne's entire career, his wicket to inning ratio is around 2.5958. So currently Kumble's wicket to inning ratio is even better than Shane Warne's wicket to inning ratio overall careers, which I feel that it means Anil Kumble should be considered rather. And there is also another reason why. Now I'm considering the Sena countries option. So let's do that. Let's see their performances in Sena countries. Let's see who's our best spinner in Sena countries. Okay. Australia, England, New Zealand, South Africa. And we'll just see the numbers of the spin bowlers, not the other bowlers. So here we see Anil Kumble has 91 wickets, and he is clearly the only spinner who has done well in Sena countries in the 21st century. But now let's see what Jadeja and Ashwin has done. Ashwin has played 20 test matches and has taken 63 wickets. 63 wickets in 34 innings. Jadeja has taken 41 wickets in 22 innings. So the wicket to inning ratio is very similar. But Jadeja has at least one 5-wicket haul. Jadeja's bowling strike rate is slightly better than Ashwin's. His bowling average is also better than Ashwin's. So overall, maybe Jadeja is slightly an inch better than Ashwin in Sena countries. Kumble is, well, a lot better than everyone else. We have compared Kumble and Jadeja, their overall careers in the 21st century, and we have realized that Kumble is a greater wicket taker than Jadeja. Jadeja doesn't give any runs. He stops the runs completely from one end, whereas Kumble was a kind of a bowler who used to entice a batsman at times. Mostly his mindset was also like Jadeja. He used to bowl line and length. But being a leg spinner, by default, it is that you will be hit in a way. You cannot control a batsman to a longer extent. So being a leg spinner, you will be taken away for runs. So his bowling average of 30 is because of that. And Jadeja's bowling average is 24. So Ashwin, Jadeja and Kumble, out of these three, Ashwin is still my pick, and he was always my pick because for what he has done overall, and he's done it in India, doesn't matter. He hasn't done that well in Sena countries, doesn't matter to me. And now second choice, I was having a competition between Kumble and Jadeja, and I think Kumble wins it. So it means Ashwin and Kumble are going to be my two spinners. And Jadeja unfortunately has to walk out from this 11. He's not in part of this 11. But in the current 11, the current team that which is going to play for WTC, I prefer Jadeja over Ashwin because of the competition that other batsmen have, and in that Jadeja's batting is more important. In this 11, Jadeja's batting is lesser important because it already has Tendulkar and Virat Kohli and Dravid, and the opening team as well is very good with Virendra Sehwag and all of those people, and Lakshman is also there. There are a lot of great batsmen, so Jadeja's batting is not that relevant to this 11. And also he has to be little more experienced in his entire career to be considered as a much greater batsman. We know the potential, and his current form is exceptional, which is why for WTC he should be a default choice in the team. So now just check out the seam bowlers. We're not going to consider the Sena thing for our seam bowlers. So we just see our seam bowlers in general. We have to pick 3 seam bowlers. So we have zeroed down on Ashwin and Kumble. It's also because we haven't considered Jadeja's batting. If this was a spin friendly match, if this was an India match, Kumble, Ashwin, Jadeja, all 3 of them would have played, and I would have gone for only 2 seamers. But since I'm picking a balanced 11, I'm preferring to take another seam bowler. So the 3 options for seam bowlers: Zaheer Khan is again a default choice, 306 wickets. Ishant Sharma is also my default choice, which means I have to look out for another bowler. Ishant Sharma, Zaheer Khan both walk in with ease. It's Mohammad Shami who is competing for one spot, and then there is down there Jasprit Bumrah. Now let me just show you the wickets to inning ratio of Mohammad Shami, because it is the most incredible for an Indian bowler. If you see 95 matches 180, which means it's around 1.9, around that. And for and comparing that to someone like Ishant Sharma or Zaheer Khan, you will realize that Shami's wicket to inning ratio is just incredible. Incredible. So 306 from 161 is Zaheer Khan. 306 from 161 is Zaheer Khan. Is 1.90. And now let's see what Shami's are. Shami's is Mohammad Shami. We'll also consider Irfan Pathan because we do have one batsman less here. So we'll also consider Irfan Pathan's numbers, though his numbers are not extremely good. If his batting is considered, then he can walk into this team. But we already have a left armer. We already have Zaheer Khan in the team. Umesh Yadav is also good. Umesh Yadav's wicket to inning ratio isn't that great. You see that Shami and Umesh Yadav both have played in almost similar innings, 95-94. But the difference between wickets is huge. So though his bowling average is very good, his wicket to inning ratio for Umesh Yadav isn't that great. He hasn't picked consistently, but his strike rate is good, which means that even though his bowling strike wicket to inning ratio is not that great, he hasn't been used a lot. He bowls in short spells and he gets wickets. But let's say what Umesh Yadav is a good bowler, has done well in Indian conditions especially. But maybe I think Shami would be better than him in any way. But we are competing here for Shami and maybe Bumrah. I'm not considering Bumrah because I think less number of matches and he's yet to play in all round conditions. He's not played a single test match in India so far, I think, which is a little like you cannot select an Indian bowler who hasn't bowled in India. I feel so. Bumrah is going to be excluded from this team. Mohammad Shami's numbers is what we are thinking of. Okay, 180, 95, competing that with Zaheer Khan. 189, we see that it's not better than Zaheer Khan. So Zaheer Khan is our most aggressive wicket taker, but it's still very good. It's still pretty good. Compared that to Ishant Sharma, it's very good. His bowling average in general is very good, 27. It's the best among all the seam bowlers that we have. I'm just going to check Irfan Pathan's wicket to inning ratio for final. 54, 100 wickets. It's 1.85. It's decent. It's good. Irfan Pathan's wicket to winning ratio is good. So the competition is between Irfan Pathan and Mohammad Shami. Uh, and I think I'm gonna prefer Mohammad Shami here because for the main reason for this is Ishant Sharma has lost his pace now. He used to be a little more quicker. Zahir Khan, for a major period of his career, he didn't bowl fast. It was a very short period in his career. During the 2003 World Cup, he was really fast in the 2003 World Cup, and a few years before that. But after that, Zahir Khan lost his lot of pace. So there is no bowler out of this three who can intimidate or can cause his pace to be an important factor in their bowling. And Mohammad Shami, I think, is the one who can do that. He's kiddie. He can swing the ball in both ways. So that also is an important skill. And in general, Mohammad Shami is just a natural wicket taker, I believe. So I feel Mohammad Shami, Ishant Sharma, and Zahir Khan, these are my three seamers. Anil Kumble and Ashwin are my two bowlers, which means I've dropped Jadeja, I've dropped Bumrah. I've not dropped Bumrah, I haven't considered Bumrah because I think he has to take more wickets, he has to play more in India to be considered. So this is my 11 finally. So, which means now, since we don't really have a deep batting order, we have Ashwin at 7 and Kumble at 8. Though Kumble at 8 I think is a good enough option. He played at number 8 all his career. So we don't mind that. Maybe Ashwin at 7 when Ashwin is not in form, he's a bad batsman. But currently in last few years, in fact last two series, Ashwin has really batted well. So which means Ashwin, I think at number 7 is a steady choice, is a good choice. He can do the job. But that is the reason why our number 6 is very important now as a batsman, and we cannot go for MS Dhoni now, and that means we have to go for Rishabh Pant. So our team is ready. We really took a lot of time for the Indian team because it was slightly more important to us than any other teams. So the opening batsman is Virendra Sehwag. We don't have another opening batsman, which means Rahul Dravid has to open. We'll do that for the team. Virat Kohli, Sachin and Lakshman. There are many who can bat at one down. Lakshman did bat at one down a few times, especially when India required him to score runs, and that 281 happened batting at one down. Sachin can bat at one down as well, if we consider that. Virat Kohli we know will have a certain troubles at one down, and that is the only reason why I'm going for Lakshman at one down, or else I would have gone for Virat Kohli at one down. But I want him to be comfortable as a batsman, Virat Kohli. Dravid and Lakshman batting together also, there is another reason that Dravid and Lakshman should be batting together. So that's why Lakshman is my one down and no Cheteshwar Pujara or anyone else. So Virat Kohli is my number 5, and Rishabh Pant, as I told you, is my wicket keeper. R. Ashwin at number 7, Anil Kumble at number 8, Ishant Sharma, Zahir Khan and Mohammad Shami. So this is my team. Now I told you that if I was taking Ganguly, I would have made Ganguly the captain, and if I was taking Dhoni, maybe I would have also made Dhoni the captain. If Ganguly and Dhoni both would have been in the team, then my captain would be Ganguly. But now we don't have Ganguly, we don't have Dhoni, and Virat Kohli's captainship record is exceptional. So default choice should be Virat Kohli, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna make the captain who I think is the smartest player in the team and who can benefit this team in crunchier situations. Virat Kohli's team has done exceptionally well, and he's a good leader. I feel he's a good leader in general, but I don't think he's a good tactician. He's a good leader, and he leads the team from the front, and he inspires other players. He pushes other players to do their best. That all of that is true, and that is one reason why this team is doing well. But the other reason is that these players in general are just better talented and more hard working, and in this generation of cricketers, it's a greater generation of cricketers. That's why it's doing well, especially our bowlers. Yeah, only our bowlers. In fact, I don't think this batting test batting unit is better than the previous generation. But that is making a lot of difference, and India is winning. But the better tactician for me, and who also led Team India in a very few games. But the only interesting thing is that Anil Kumble was India's coach for some time, and Virat Kohli uh, had a conflict with him. But that was because Virat Kohli was the captain of that team, and it was Virat Kohli's team which Anil Kumble was coaching. This is different. This is Anil Kumble's team. Dravid, Sachin, Lakshman, Sehwag, these are all generation of cricketers who played with Anil Kumble and not Virat Kohli. So if there is a conflict in this team, Virat Kohli won't have any say. So that's not a worry. So he cannot dominate Anil Kumble in this team at least. That's why it's okay to have Anil Kumble as the captain of this team. And also I believe Kumble and Ashwin under Kumble's captainship will be a even greater bowler, I believe. So Ashwin, Kumble, Zahir Khan, this is my team. This is India's greatest test team of the 21st century. Without Jadeja, unfortunately, but it's also because we have made a balanced team. Maybe if this was made for Indian conditions, Ishant Sharma would have been dropped and Jadeja would have come into this team, and we would have had three spinners and two seamers. But it's for a general way. In a general way, this is my team. This is my team, and Ashwin is playing in it. Um, so now we're gonna move on to the final two teams. This is gonna be a long video. This is almost gonna be a feature film video. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I think I have that much memory. If I don't have a memory, I will cut paste it or whatever, and we'll see. England team is what we're gonna pick now. Okay, let's just see the bowlers first. The English bowlers of the 21st century. Oh, Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, Graham Swan, all three of them walk in with ease. There is just no debate about it. No debate about it. No need. Um, the two options, out of which one will be Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes one will be a bowling option. So four bowlers are done. So now the idea is to either choose one bowler or choose Andrew Flintoff, and have Flintoff and Ben Stokes both in the team. It's a little difficult choice to make, but I think I would do that. I might do that because Ben Stokes is a greater all-rounder than Andrew Flintoff. He's a greater Test cricketer than Andrew Flintoff. Flintoff was a greater bowler in terms of pure skill, but not results. Because if you see, his wicket to inning ratio is 212 in 122. Let's calculate the wicket to inning ratio of Flintoff and Ben Stokes and to see who's a better bowler. I think we don't have to. We don't have to. We can see that here itself. Flintoff is a much better wicket taker than. He's taken more wickets, not much better, but taken much more wickets than Ben Stokes. 122 innings, 212 wickets, and just 6 innings less, but wickets are much less for Ben Stokes, 163. But the bowling average is very similar. I would say it's not better for Ben Stokes. It's very similar, 31, 32. 5 wicket hauls. Ben Stokes has taken 4 5 wicket hauls. Andrew Flintoff has taken 3 5 wicket hauls. So what I can conclude from this is that Andrew Flintoff took wickets every match. Every inning he took at least one or two wickets. Whereas Ben Stokes is a bowler, especially in the second inning, is a bowler who can wrap up an inning with more wickets once in a while, but he won't take wickets every inning. So in Ben Stokes is like he performs in chunks in Test matches as a bowler, whereas Flintoff was more consistent, and he can be considered as a genuine bowling option along with his batting capabilities. The other genuine bowling options that are competing would be Hogarth and Harmison. You see there, but again they don't have exceptional record in compared to Andrew Flintoff's record. If you see, the difference isn't much. It's almost it isn't important at all. A little bit of strike rate is better for them, but then there is not much of a difference there. Not a lot of difference for Harmison or Hogarth. They've both played a lot. So I think it's an easy choice. Flintoff and Ben Stokes should both get in. So we have our 5 bowlers now. We'll see the batters and we'll also see the wicket keeper. We're going to wrap up the English team very well because there is not a lot of competition in my opinion. In the bowling there wasn't enough. We'll see what the batting is. Okay, Alistair Cook. Alistair Cook. I don't know if I'm gonna pick Alistair Cook or not. Okay, he's the highest run scorer. He's played the most matches, but I don't know for now. Joe Root, Kevin Peterson, both of them have been selected without a doubt. Ian Bell, I don't know. Andrew Strauss, I don't know. Marcus Trescotty, I do know, and he's my first choice opening batsman. He's played much lesser matches, but I think he just was a great opening batsman, I feel. Again, Marcus Trescotty didn't really do well outside England, which is again uh, a theory or a perspective that everyone keeps bringing for every player, and Marcus Trescotty didn't do that well outside of England. But it doesn't matter to me. I think it's still a great batsman. He was aggressive. He was one of the finest batsmen to watch. Michael Vaughan is, I don't know. I am not considering for him right now. So okay, we are done. I think we are done. Okay, Cook, Peterson, and Marcus Trescotty are three. We need two options. Let's take in Alistair Cook as our second opener. Let's just take him in. But he's my fourth selection. It means so Root, Peterson, and Trescotty are the ones I've selected first. No, I'm just joking. Cook is one of the most important batsmen. So I was just trying to offend Alistair Cook fans if there are any. So Cook, Root, Peterson, and Trescotty are my four batsmen, out of which both are openers. So we have our both openers and one down and two down. So we need a batsman for the middle order now. So Michael Vaughan, I think, doesn't qualify, and his batting average is less, and he was competing for the opener slot, and he doesn't fit into that now. We already have openers. Ian Bell is in competition. Andrew Strauss was also an opener, but he started off as a middle order batsman. That's what I remember. So Ian Bell is in competition. Andrew Strauss is in competition. You come down. Jonathan Trott is in competition. Average is 44. Jonathan Trott began on an extreme level. He was the greatest batsman in the country, in the world at one point, Jonathan Trott, and also in ODIs he was the greatest batsman. But some issues happened for him, and well, if you have seen a documentary called The Edge, it says that it was Andy Flowers. Andy Flowers is a very favorite player of mine. I've spoken about him in the first video where we picked the Zimbabwe Bangladesh combined 11. But probably I would pretty much sure that Andy Flower was a very difficult coach to work with for players, and it did hampered a lot of players' mental health. And Jonathan Trott was one of them. Was one of those players who was the most affected by it, and it was reflected on his batting, unfortunately, and his numbers went down and down and down. So at one point he averaged 54, 55 in test matches. It went down to 44. But we have to consider his entire career. We can't just consider this, and we cannot give him leverage for that. So Jonathan Trott, but he's still competing for the fifth batsman spot. But coming down, you find Graham Thorpe. Those are a lot of runs, I would say. They're not less runs. 2,700 runs. He played for a period of 5 years in the early 21st century. And he scored 900s, which is what attracts me. 900s in very, very less games. 37 games. 900s and 13.5 centuries. I think I will go for Graham Thorpe in the middle order. So I think my team is ready now. I did consider Jonathan Trott and Ian Bell. My problem with Ian Bell, I think, is again very similar to consistency. There were periods when Ian Bell was just a class batsman and much ahead of any of his contemporaries. But then there were other periods where Ian Bell couldn't be that good. And even same for Alistair Cook. For Alistair Cook's defining skill is resilience. Alistair Cook was England's finest batsman in India against spin bowling and pace bowling and whatever it is. Alistair Cook and from South Africa it was Hashim Amla. I remember out of all the modern batsmen who have batted in India, someone like Steve Smith has scored runs. They have scored good runs in India. But I would say the two best batsmen to bat in India in Test match cricket, coming from outside, are Alistair Cook and Hashim Amla, because they really were mentally and just very sure of their technique against spin bowling. And that is one reason why I really like Alistair Cook, and the reason why I don't really like him. I respect Alistair Cook for that. I don't really like him. I still don't like him, but that is the reason why I have to accept the fact that Alistair Cook is a great batsman, because the way he batted in India. But there were phases when Alistair Cook was a better run scorer than what he eventually has ended up being. At one point, Alistair Cook did average above 50. At one point, Alistair Cook did look like in ODIs he will find his nick and he will get better at it. Hashim Amla did become that player. Hashim Amla showed that he has the adaptability to become a great ODI cricketer as well. Alistair Cook showed a few glimpses that he can do what Hashim Amla did, but he didn't end up doing it that successfully, and he was dropped before the 2015 World Cup was just arriving, and it didn't fare well for him at all, and just left ODI cricket after that. But what happens because of that is that his mentality was more defensive after that, after leaving ODI cricket, I believe. Before that, Cook was a natural run scorer as well at times, but then he became more of a defensive opening batsman. Well, that is fine because he still had great skills. He had exceptional skills, and every team needs one player who's extra resilient and who is extra defensive and can be the anchor for the team. So Alistair Cook was that for England for a lot of years. So our team is ready. We'll just write the English team down and then we'll move to the Australian team. So Marcus Trescothick, Alistair Cook. One down we have Joe Root. I will go for Joe Root at one down. Though he bats at two down now. Kevin Pietersen would be my two down. Graham Thorpe would be my three down. And we talked about a lot of people. Yeah, right. Well, we don't know the wicket keeper. Who's the wicket keeper? It's just Matt Prior and Johnny Bairstow. I think it's easy. Matt Prior is my wicket keeper. Has a very good strike rate, Matt Prior. Never noticed that. 61. That is a very good strike rate. I always remember him being a very defensive batsman, but he scored at a very good run rate in his runs. So Matt Prior is my number 6. Not because I think he's better than Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes' batting average is slightly less. But the reason why I'm having Ben Stokes as a number 7 is that because in positions where England will require those match-winning knocks, and that position at bench should be great for him to bat at number 7. And also because Graham Thorpe is at number 5, so it doesn't matter, anyone can bat at 5 or 6. Maybe Thorpe could go at number 4, Pietersen could come down at 5, then we have Stokes at 6, it doesn't matter. And Andrew Flintoff is my another option. Graham Swan is my spinner. There is no real competition to Graham Swan. Stuart Broad and James Henderson, again no competition to them. You know how great they are, there's nothing to talk about. So this is my team. So the only probable captain here is probably Alistair Cook. Joe Root needs to captain England a lot more to be proved to be a better captain. But Alistair Cook is a good enough captain, is a great captain in fact. So this is my England team, and now we'll quickly move on to the Australian team. So here we go, 10,000 runs plus for Ricky Ponting. Gets in. Michael Clarke. Australia throughout the 21st century and even before that, they always played with 6 batters, wicket keeper and 4 bowlers. This has always been how the Australian team has played. Shane Watson is the only option who came in for a while and he enticed the Australian team that probably they can also have someone like Andrew Flintoff in that team or someone like Jack Callis in that team. But it wasn't that for long. Shane Watson didn't really play a lot of Test cricket, we know that. His numbers are still decent for an batting all-rounder. He got a few wickets as well. But Shane Watson's batting numbers and the competition that is there in the batting order, there is just too much competition for this batting order. There's just too much competition. Let's see that. Ricky Ponting who will be our natural choice. But let's count him in as well in the competition. Ricky Ponting, Michael Clarke, Matthew Hayden, Steve Smith, David Warner 5, Michael Hussey 6, Justin Langer 7. And you go even further down, even Damien Martin could be considered a competition. That is 8. Come a little down, Steve Waugh also played in the 21st century. He scored 2,300 runs at a batting average of 52. He's also a competition, 8. Nine. There are nine players competing, and don't forget that Manas Labuskagne is also a competition. He's an exceptional form. He's yet to make a lot of runs, but he's also a competition. That makes 10. Darren Lehman is also a competition. I would say no, maybe not Darren Lehman. That would be a little too much. But there are at least 10 batsmen competing for those 5 or 6 spots. So with so many great batsmen around, Shane Watson can't just walk into this team. He just can't. So we have to take 6 batsmen, and out of this there will be someone who can bowl, because that's how the Australian team has always been. They always picked 6 batsmen as a wicket keeper, and out of those 6 batsmen, at least 2 or 3 were capable to be a good enough part-time bowlers. I told you about India also. I was thinking about on similar lines, but I couldn't execute it for India. The reason for that is India didn't have a seam bowling option. Uh, India had too many good spinners, and we couldn't drop those spinners. We couldn't go for 3 seamers and 1 spinner for India, which we can do for Australia. For Australia, we can go for 3 seamers and 1 spinner, and that would be enough. Then the fifth bowler won't be that important. But when you're going for 2 seamers, 2 spinners, and 2 seamers, then we are out of a seam bowling option. So we can't do that for India. That's why we can do that for Australia. We can go for 6 batters and one of the part-time spinners. And for me, I think the part-time spinner is very much sure who that part-time spinner for me is. It's Michael Clarke. He started out as a spin bowling all-rounder, and then he became more of a batsman. But Michael Clarke was always a much better spinner than most of the other part-time spinners that we talked about. I think he was a better spinner than Sehwag and Sachin as well. So my 6 batters, which includes Michael Clarke, are going to be Ricky Ponting, Michael Clarke, Matthew Hayden, Steve Smith, 4 of them, sure. David Warner or Justin Langer. That is the choice that we have to make. Should we go for David Warner or we should go for Justin Langer? So we'll keep that out for a while. And then Mike Hussey is my 5th batsman. So these 5 batsmen I'm sure of. Steve Waugh, I think he was a great cricketer, but he played a little less test matches, in a little less runs in the 21st century, and other players that are above him are just greater enough, and Steve Waugh should be reserved for the 20th century. So I'm pulling out. And Labuschagne in a normal team, in any other team, Labuschagne with that much experience, if Labuschagne was an Indian player right now, I would have dropped anyone for him in that. Not anyone. I would have definitely dropped. Maybe I would have still dropped VVS Lakshman for Labuschagne if he was an Indian player. I would have gone for Labuschagne because the difference between Pujara and Labuschagne is the high run scoring. He doesn't just take those deliveries; he goes on to score big. But even his strike rate is good. But this is the reason for his strike rate. He starts out very similarly to how Pujara starts out. But once he gets the confidence, he becomes a different batsman. He keeps playing his shots and he's aggressive. His running between the wickets is good. He's very similar to Steve Smith, in fact. The only difference is that Steve Smith looks a lot more uglier than Labuschagne as a batsman. Uglier while batting, his batting style. But again, Steve Smith is he's a unique snowflake. He's one in the world. In general, he's the greatest batsman. In specific, Sangakkara is the greatest batsman, if you remove his wicket-keeping attributes as a batsman. But in general, Steve Smith is the greatest batsman of this 21st century, and there is just no debate about it. But if Sangakkara is considered without his keeping skills, then or his keeping attributes as a batsman, then Sangakkara is greater than him. So my picks, the competition was between David Warner and Justin Langer, and for that I will do something. I will see who has done better in Sena countries. Sorry, not Sena countries, in the subcontinent. I'm gonna see who did better, Warner or Justin Langer in Asian countries. Let's see that. Select Asia. That's it. Which will also include Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. But anyways, Australia didn't play a lot in Bangladesh. And Sri Lanka was a strong team for a long time. Now they are not that strong. So here we have it. David Warner has scored 1,000 runs at an average of 34, 300, strike rate is 65. Justin Langer down there is also not that good. Justin Langer, very similar numbers. Just 100. 13 test matches for him. Warner has played 15. So very similar numbers, but Warner is slightly an inch better. He scored 300 and Langer has scored just one. Let's see, Matthew Hayden, if you see, has done exceptionally well in Asian countries as well. So he's our default opener. 50 is his batting average there. Mike Hussey has done well in Asian countries in the subcontinent. So yeah, that is, I think, good enough. So I think I've made my decision. But before that, because I do know that Justin Langer has done better in England than David Warner has done in. We'll also check that out. We'll see what the difference is in England. England. Let's consider England and South Africa, and let's say consider even New Zealand. So 3 out of the SENA countries. Let's see who's done better, Langer and not Australia, because that's their home country. England, South Africa, New Zealand. Okay, selected both Asia and this thing. Yeah. So incredible for Adam Gilchrist. Adam Gilchrist average is 86. I think he scored more runs in New Zealand. I think Adam Gilchrist. Yeah. David Warner 53 is his average, and Justin Langer is 40. Oh, he didn't score a single hundred. Okay, haven't chosen England. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so we'll add England to it. Okay, we'll say it separately. So this is New Zealand and South Africa. We see David Warner has done much better than Justin Langer. Justin Langer haven't even scored a single century in South Africa or New Zealand, which I think says a lot, and which also says that David Warner is right now a better option. So just because in England he's better than Warner, he doesn't become a better player. So I think overall David Warner is still ahead of Justin Langer. But we'll still see the difference. We'll see how different, what the difference is in England for them. Okay, yeah. So Justin Langer averages 55. He's played very few test matches though in England. He's done well, but he's played few test matches. 200s and 250s, which is not exceptional. I would say it's good enough. And Warner has played 13 test matches and is really fared badly. He's been really bad in England, but this is in the context of the recent bad form that he's had. In the recent Ashes, I think he was not that good in the recent Ashes. But I think those numbers will change in the future, so I don't think we have to worry about that. He's just played, let's say, I guess he's played in 3 Ashes in England, but yeah, he's really bad in England. But England alone doesn't justify. Warner has been exceptionally good in Australia. He's better than Justin Langer in a slight way in the Asian countries. He's much better in New Zealand and South Africa. So I think I would still go for David Warner, even though he hasn't fared that well in England. So I think we know who our obvious bowlers are going to be, but we'll just write out the batting order first. Matthew Hayden and David Warner are my openers. Ricky Ponting is one down for me. Steve Smith, Mike Hussey, and Michael Clarke, who's also my bowling option, and Adam Gilchrist. This was the most important part, having Adam Gilchrist at number 7. This is what defined this Australian team and their strength. Having someone like Adam Gilchrist at number 7 really scared the opponents. The bowling team now, let's have a look at that. Well, the England location doesn't matter now. We'll also check Michael Clarke's number. First we'll check that, and Shane Watson's number. Shane Watson, 59 matches, 75 wickets. I told you, not exceptional. Strike rate 73. He did take a few 5-wicket hauls, 3 5-wicket hauls. That is good. But I told you the real reason is not his bowling. I think his bowling is good enough, but it's just his batting, which is just too pale in terms of what Australia had. Like 10 options who are like greater batsmen who should come in the team. Michael Clark's bowling, we have to see that. Here we go, 115 matches, 31 wickets. But he's done decent. He's taken a 6 wicket haul. He's taken 6 for 9. That is an exceptional bowling performance. 38 is his bowling average. But I think he's good enough to be, because the second spinner doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If he was a seam bowling option, it would have mattered more. He's a second spinner, and the first spinner we know who's gonna be that. It's gonna be Shane Warne. Nathan Lean has played 100 Test matches, got 399 wickets, but it's gonna be Shane Warne. Yeah, Shane Warne with the ease. So Shane Warne is your one spinner. You might not require a lot of help, but if you do, well, there is Michael Clarke. He can bowl a few overs. You can give rest to Shane Warne maybe, or other seamers. And then the three seamers that we have to pick: Mitchell Johnson, Brett Lee, McGrath, Mitchell Starc, Peter Siddle, Josh Hazelwood, Gillespie, Pat Cummins. A lot of competition here as well. A little similar to what we saw in the batting order and how much competition there. Ryan Harris is one of my favorite bowlers. I think he really played well. 27 matches, he's 113 wickets, an exceptional bowling average, a very good strike rate, a lot of 5 wicket hauls. And Ryan Harris, I remember watching Ryan Harris bowl in old Australian domestic cricket matches, and I remember him being a medium pace bowler. And when he came into the international circuit, he was just exceptional with his pace. And a very few examples of such who started out being medium pacers and suddenly they become extremely fast. There are some people who become slightly more fast when they're well built. Like for example, Bhuvneshwar Kumar is an example. Bhuvneshwar Kumar was like bowling in 120s when he started out. But then when he became slightly well built and he worked on his fitness, he was capable to bowl in 134, 135 as well, touching those limits. Even Bumrah, I think, became a slightly more faster. He was still fast when he was when he was young, but he became slightly more faster than what he was because of his fitness. But there are very few examples of such major transformation, and Ryan Harris was one of them. Ryan Harris made a huge transformation in his bowling speed and his swing bowling, and he bowled and was a terrific in-swing bowler. But let's say a little lesser experience to take him in the team. But he was a great bowler. Even Ben Hilfenhaus, he played less matches, but even Ben Hilfenhaus was a great swing bowler. All these bowlers who played lesser games: Stuart Clark, exceptional bowler. He had exceptional accuracy. He was almost considered like the next Glenn McGrath, but he was already very old when he played his first test. So he didn't have a lot of time to play a lot of games. He did play a few matches though. James Pattinson is one of those bowlers right now who's getting less opportunities because of the competition there is there in the Australian team. But he also is an exceptional fast bowler. Then who's this one guy? 12 matches. Yeah, Dougie Bollinger. Dougie Bollinger was also in ODI cricket. Dougie Bollinger really dominated for a period. And he was in fact Australia's strike bowler in ODI cricket for some period. But you see, he did well in test matches as well in the few test matches that he played. 12 matches, 50 wickets, 25 is his bowling average, a very good strike rate, 48. So many options to choose from. But I'm going to go for, we know we have to choose. See, for example, now we have to have one fast bowler who is exceptionally fast, because that's how Australia always chose their teams. They always had one tear-away fast bowler. So the people competing for that spot are Mitchell Johnson, Brett Lee, Mitchell Starc, and maybe even Ryan Harris could be considered in that. And also there's one more guy. He didn't play a lot of test matches. Where is he? Sean Tate. I'm trying to look for Sean Tate's number. But yeah, he played very few. He just played 3 test matches. Gosh. 5 wickets. Didn't really play test cricket, it means. But yeah, so these are the people. So you can go for Mitchell Johnson, Brett Lee, or Mitchell Starc. These are the main competitions there in pace bowling. And I'm going to prefer Mitchell Johnson here over Mitchell Starc. The Mitchell Starc, I think, has been an exceptional bowler for Australia in all formats, especially in ODI cricket. In fact, in ODI cricket, Mitchell Starc comes close to be called the greatest fast bowler ever. That's his wicket tally. His wicket tally is just exceptional in ODI cricket, in particularly, and in World Cups. The last 2 World Cups, 2019 and 2015, he was an exceptional wicket taker. But in test matches, I think he had one phase where he was really good. Right now, he's going through a little bad phase. But if making a choice between Stark and Lee and Johnson, Stark is the first one who goes out of that competition for me. Though Lee's bowling average is not that good. You see, 33, that's a very bad bowling average, in fact, for Brett Lee. But he still India didn't got a lot of 5 wicket hauls. But it's also because he was bowling already with Gillespie and Magra and Shane Warne for a long period. But yeah, so Mitchell Johnson is my choice. Left armour, was also a good enough batsman, averaged 23 or something with the bat. Um, so yeah, Mitchell Johnson is my default choice for the fast bowling bowler, and also is also left armour, so he gives that variety. Glenn Magra is a default choice. There is just no debate about it. But the three bifurcations that we were talking about, Mitchell Johnson is pace, Glenn Magra is accuracy, and now we need someone who can do all of that and can also be a swing bowler. So Josh Hazlewood is a pure swing bowler. We know Josh Hazlewood is a pure swing bowler, and he's also very accurate. Then there aren't many who are like very swing specialist for Australia. Um, Maybe a few. Ryan Harris was a good swing bowler. We know Ben Hilfenos was a good swing bowler. But yeah, I think it's very simple. I think we know who the third choice seamer is gonna be. Is someone who has everything, who is also fast, he's also very accurate, and he also bowls swing, and that is Pat Cummins. Exceptional record, exceptional bowling average, is the finest, comes close to Magra. His strike rate is so good, 47.1, that is very high. Already has 5 wicket hauls, and we know the character that Pat Cummins has. And just 34 matches, these many wickets. That is exceptional. So I think we are done with our team now. Stuart McGill, just have a look at his numbers. He's a good spinner. Yeah. So other spinners, Nathan Lyon, Stuart McGill is one of them. Then there is Nathan Horrocks. He's not really that good, but Stuart McGill would have been my second spinner. Um, Maybe him and Nathan Lyon, maybe both of them could have been considered for the second spinner spot. But anyways, we don't need that. Shane Warne is there. So we're done with the Australian team as well now. Mitchell Johnson, average is 20 something with the bat. And there's Pat Cummins, Shane Warne before that, and Glenn Magra. So that team is, I think this is the team. I think this is the strongest team of the 21st century, and there is no competition to that. So let's call it the first team, the number one team. There's just no competition to that. They have one of the greatest spinners ever. They have probably in my opinion the greatest fast bowler ever, Glenn Magra, and one of the fastest bowlers and who bowled consistently, a left armer, Mitchell Johnson, and in today's day, Pat Cummins, emphatically the best bowler. Probably, yeah, I think there is no competition to that as well. Pat Cummins is currently the best fast bowler in Test cricket, without a doubt. And then there's so many batters: Steve Smith, Ricky Ponting, Matthew Hayden, such a great opening batsman. David Warner, I'm not calling him a great opening batsman, but he's great enough to be in this team. That's what I feel. Then there is Michael Hussey and Michael Clarke, very good middle order batters, and Michael Clarke to be the fifth bowling option, the second spinner. This is easily the strongest team. The second strongest team, could it be England? Could it be India? I don't know. New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, West Indies, obviously not. So England's bowling is very strong. The batting is very deep with Andrew Flintoff at number 8. India, we know the batting is slightly not that deep, but maybe we should consider that, or we shouldn't. With Ashwin and Kumble, India probably has the best spin pair. Together, Ashwin and Kumble, and under Kumble's captainship, that is an exceptional spin pair. With Tendulkar and Kohli, India has one of the finest run scorers in the middle order. Dravid and Lakshman, we have one of the most important Test cricketers of this generation. Sehwag, we have the most aggressive opening batsman. New Zealand is good, the best seam attack after Australia, I think. After Australia, I said that before, that they are the best seam and swing attack, but it's after Australia. You should read it after Australia. So I look at the South African team. Let me see the South African team once again. I think the batting of the South African team is just exceptional, and there is Delstein and Rabada in it. They have one. The only bad thing that makes them a weaker side than Australia is they don't have a great spinner. They have Keshav Maharaj. Uh, so and now let's put together South Africa and England. Who should be better? Mm. South Africa easily has the stronger batting. They have Jack Callis as the all-rounder, but England has two all-rounders to compete with that, Ben Stokes and Flintoff. England has a better spinner, a lot better spinner. In fact, one of the better spinners, one of the best spinners of this generation. And then they have Broad and Anderson. So I think England still wins it, they don't. I don't know. I think the reason why England is a better or South Africa than the South African team is because they have two all-rounders, Stokes and Flintoff. They have a better spinner, much better spinner in Graham Swan, and they have experienced bowlers. They don't have like the wicket-taking capability of Dale Steyn and Kagiso Rabada, Broad and Anderson. But out of that, only Dale Steyn should be really like considered the bigger threat, because Rabada is yet to evolve into, has to still play that many games. So I think I still give the second position to England out of all these. And the big reason is they're all rounders, Stokes and Flintoff in the same team, and Graham Swan. That makes a lot of difference, I think. It makes a lot of difference. Jack Callis, though South Africa has the third best all-rounder, the best all-rounder in the world, but lack of a good spinner is one major reason there. Apart from that, not really. There is no other reason. This is very strong. There's very little between the English and the South African team. Apart from that England has a better spinner. The number 4 team is a little difficult to make a choice now. Let's go. The number 4 team, can it be India? Can it be New Zealand? Okay, let's see. The New Zealand batting is Tom Latham, who averages around 41, McCullum 38, Fleming averages around 40, 41, 44 I think in this century. Williamson is good. The batting is deep. Batting is not that deep. The deepness of their batting is very similar, India and New Zealand. So their batting is similar, but India has a lot greater spinners than New Zealand. The seam attack, obviously, compared to everyone else, is a little weak for India, but it's good. It's good within Indian team to what India traditionally had. It's a great bowling attack, the seam attack. But compare that to New Zealand, it is obviously weaker. But India's batting is a little just too strong than New Zealand. Just lot more stronger than New Zealand. And there is Rishabh Pant, who also should be considered for his batting. So I'm going for India as the 4th team. Yeah, I'm going for India as the 4th strongest team, and New Zealand I think should be the 5th strongest team. Yeah, New Zealand should be the 5th strongest team. Yep, it is. It is the 5th strongest team, New Zealand. Okay, the 6th strongest team now. This is going to be interesting because Sri Lanka does look really, really strong to me. And if choosing between Sri Lanka and Pakistan, I think I will go for Sri Lanka. The pair of Muralidharan and Herat, I think, is greater than Yasir Shah and Saeed Ajmal. Pakistan has definitely Shoaib Akhtar and Mohammad Asif, both greater bowlers, but again, both haven't played a lot of test matches. Akhtar did still played enough, got a lot of wickets. Asif hasn't played enough test matches. So we can still give that, okay, Pakistan has a better seam attack than Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has a better spin attack. Now in the batting order, Sri Lanka is like 10 times much better than Pakistan. There's only Pakistan has 3 good batters there: Yunus Khan, Mohammad Yusuf, Inzamam ul Haq, but Azhar Ali, Misbah ul Haq are they cannot be as good as Sri Lanka is. But again, if you consider numbers wise, then Sri Lanka has Dimuth Karunaratne and Attappattu, who traditionally don't have great numbers. But Sangakkara, Jayawardene and Samaraveera have great numbers. But for an opening batsman, Karunaratne and Attappattu have very good numbers. They're good enough numbers. Murali, Herat, much greater spinners. I think Sri Lanka, Pakistan, I will go for Sri Lanka. But West Indies is also there in the mix, and they have Kalupar and Chandrapur and Sarwan and Lara. Breathwaite is just a little weaker. Okay, so I think I'm preferring Sri Lanka to be the sixth strongest team. Yeah. So now I have Pakistan. I have West Indies. I will make Pakistan the seventh strongest team. Come on. West Indies is the eighth strongest team, I think, here compared to the Zimbabwe Bangladesh team, but it's not a weak team. That's what I don't want to say that they are a weaker team. This is a very strong West Indies team. In bits and pieces, West Indies have been a struggling team. We know that in 2000s they have been a struggling team, but this overall compilation, there is not a lot between this Sri Lankan and Pakistani and West Indies team. I feel they are very close to each other. There is very little between them. West Indies has a very good batting order. In fact, they are very deep batting order. So there is very little between them. They have a very good pace attack as well. In fact, um, very good pace attack. So there's very little between all these things, all these teams. Yeah, really very little between them. And the combined 11 is also a very strong. If this such a team really plays against any other team out of this, I think they would have a very fair competition. No team, even if let's say this West Indies team plays against this Australian team, I still think that there will be a competition. No teams out of all these teams would just go out without a competition. So I think that is a good sign. The 21st century Test cricket has been good, but the only difference is that in bits and pieces they've been overall it's been good, but there have been chunks of time where Test cricket has struggled or the domination has been single-handed by especially the Australian team. Um, but overall, in the 21st century, Test cricket has been very competitive, and that's what we can make out from this. So I think we have ended this feature film now. 1 hour, what's 1 hour 21 minutes. So I think I should make a letterbox page for this feature film so that people can rate it, review it, talk about it. Yeah, but till then, yeah, take care. I'll try to make more feature films on this channel, cricket related or non-cricket related. You could have heard that it's been raining for a long time, and I think you can hear that in the background. So that is given a kind of a background score to the feature film. So yeah, take care. That's enough. That's it from me.